Tony, we'll let you tackle this next question because it kind of carries right through what Steve was talking about in regards to the rush defense, bad angles, new linebackers. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I can see where the Maryland comparison would be on that one run from Mohammed Ibrahim, but it was one run. It was a 4th and 1. There was a missed tackle there. They do need to continue to work on leverage. That is for sure, because you don't want to get into that situation again. But that Maryland game, there were like 3 runs like that. Minnesota, there was 1, and like I said, there was a missed tackle. And how many times on 4th down do you see a 4th and 1? It busts through because the line of defense isn't as far back. And so if you just get through that first line, there's a lot of times you're gone, and that's what happened there. So I'm not so concerned about the run defense right now, because I don't know how often we're going to see what Minnesota does. And it was also interesting to hear Ryan Day and Kerry Combs complain a little bit about how the officials weren't giving them time to substitute and get set before, or they weren't, because Oregon would substitute, or Minnesota would substitute, Ohio State would try to match it, and then they wouldn't be given much time to get set and get ready. And so they felt like the refs weren't giving them enough time. So there were a number of issues there, but also let's not forget Mohammed Ibrahim is the best running back in the Big Ten, one of the best in the country. So I think it's okay to give him some credit, because this running game, he's a really tough runner. Looked like Roger Craig at one point. I know we know who he is. Maybe nobody else does, but just a tough running guy. And give him some credit. And again, Ohio State will need to tackle better. 9 padded practices and their 25 fall camp practices. So it takes a while to get secure in your tackling game, I believe.
Go Jay! Thank you so much for the super chat contribution. Appreciate that. Regardless of whether it was Tony or Steve that spurred you on to the contribution there, saluting the I like this brother talking. Nice. And it definitely wasn't me. So thank you, Go Jay, so much for that. All right. Zach Harrison makes this play that somewhat changes the game, and it's the kind of play we've been waiting for. This is why you recruit and sign the 5-star. He can do that sort of game-changing type play. I don't know that anyone noticed what Zach Harrison was doing the rest of the game. You guys can both jump in on this in regards to evaluation of his play, this super-duper defensive line with JTT getting a few snaps correct.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Jack Sawyer, did he get into the game? I didn't know.
4 snaps.
I'll let Tony give his 2 cents, and then I can.
Yeah.
If he's got a scoot, then I can take it.
Well, Zach Harrison played like 65 snaps, which is about double what they want their defensive ends to play, and he did great out of champion. So even though we may not have been paying attention to what he was doing, obviously the coaches felt it was good enough, and he was one of the players that talked at the end of the game, so they were happy with his performance. I think those of us who were just watching the game measured defensive ends and sacks and tackles for loss and things like that. And I think if you're playing 65, I think we'd like to see more than just the 1. But also, again, going back to that offensive line, they're pretty good. There are a lot of them. Sometimes you get around 1 tackle and there's another tackle waiting for you, and it's a little bit unfair. So I think you might see more from him this week. Kayvon Thibodeau gets all of the attention. Those guys were in the same recruiting class, in the same the 2019 class, I believe. And so this is an opportunity for Zach Harrison to show the nation that, hey, I'm somebody too. So I think he's one to watch. And with that, I will bid you all adieu.
Thank you, Tony. Appreciate that.
Yep. I'll just say that what Ohio State needs desperately is a more consistent pass rush. And, Tyreek Smith, should be a contract year to play his way into the NFL. Zach Harrison trying to hopefully get drafted in the first round of the NFL, has some talent, but it's got to manifest itself. The defensive tackles were okay. They just need to make more of an impact on the opposing quarterback. And I think if they do that, then your young defensive backs won't be exposed quite as bad. And this was what we talked about all last season, how there just wasn't a consistent pass rush from Ohio State. And now they're 1 game into 2021, and that really hasn't changed a whole lot. You think that the playmakers are there. Javonte Jean-Baptiste, just standing there, he looks like $1 million. Now he's got to make some plays. I don't even think he had a tackle in this game. He played a substantial number of plays as well. So he got sucked inside on the big run by Ibrahim. So did Craig Young, who was playing the bullet linebacker safety position. Lejon Cavazos was filling and slipped and didn't make the tackle, and now Ibrahim's off to the races. So that was reminiscent of the Maryland play with McFarland a few years ago. But at the same time, none of those three guys were starters, and they kind of caught them in a sequence where they had substituted some other guys into the game, and it really bit them. As it turned out, that was a touchdown, on those two plays, that one and then the throw over the top over Cavazos. So, does that happen if you have the guys who started the game in there? I don't know. But again, those guys can't play every play of every series all game long. They're going to break down. So you got to have some good help off the bench. And I think some lessons were learned, I think, in the course of that game for Ohio State defensively, because guys were put in positions they've never been in before. But it does start up front. They need a more consistent pass rush. Harrison, to me, let's see as this season goes on. If he makes one or two plays like that every game, they're going to be in great shape. And, not necessarily stripping the ball for a touchdown, but, they need more negative plays. I think I had the box score here. They may have only had 3 tackles for loss in the entire game, which is a very low number. I know, obviously, Cody Simon had 1 on a sack right before halftime. Harrison gets 1 on the strip. Yeah, here it is. Tackles for loss. 4 tackles for loss. Cody Simon, Antoine Jackson had 1 on a running play, I believe. Zach Harrison. Well, they total up 4, and Taraja Mitchell had 1 on the outside on a running play as well. So 4 tackles for loss out of 78 plays ran by Minnesota. That's not a high ratio. You would typically like to see that. If they run 78 plays, you would like to have 7 or 8 of them go for a loss with 3. If you can get 3 sacks a game, that's a pretty good number. They had 2. More than 3 would be great, I think. And, 4 is obviously phenomenal. So, those are the numbers they need to strive to hit. And I think that what really confounded Ohio State was the inability on first down, at least in the first 3 quarters when Ibrahim was there, from stopping him on first down. He was getting yards in 6 and 7 and 8 yard chunks on first down. And now, as one of the old offensive coordinators from Ohio State said, it's 2nd and short. And it may have even been Jim Tressel that said this. And he's like, that's a freewheeling down. You have the entire playbook in front of you on 2nd and 2. You can either run for the first down or you could throw a deep pass. And whatever you do, as long as you don't turn it over, it doesn't hurt you. So, or, give up a sack, obviously. But, you look at it too often, they were allowing Minnesota to have 2nd and manageable, 3rd and manageable, and they converted those and sustained drives. And that's why they ran 78 plays. That's why they had the ball for 39 minutes. But it was vintage on the first drive of the game that Minnesota picked up 2 or 3 first downs, but at the 40-yard line, Ohio State slammed the door on them, forced the punt, got the ball back, and drove the length of the field and went down and scored. That's how you win football games, is eventually getting that stop, getting off the field, converting on offense, lather, rinse, repeat. You got to do it for 4 quarters to beat a good team. And they're going to have to do it this Saturday against Oregon because, we talked that Oregon, they don't look like they're the number 3 or 4 team in the country, but they don't look like they're the number 25 team in the country either. They look like probably about where they're ranked, 10, 11, 12, and could really give you some fits if everything that they do hits. They're going to give you a couple fits in this game.